Yesterday, April 18, 1775, it began to rain redcoats on the coast of New England. The British front plowed through the town of Lexington and continued towards Concord, where they destroyed some military supplies. However, a nor'easter of colonial troops met the British, leaving an accumulation of around 250 bodies. The forecast shows that in approximately 2 months, on June 17, 1775, Bunker's Hill is expected to see slight precipitation of British forces mixed with the colonial farmer militia. It could potentially lead to a change in New England weather, as we could see an accumulation of up to 1,000 British bodies. In 1781, the long outbreak of turbulence is expected to end in Yorktown, Virginia, near Chesapeake Bay. Hurricane Washington is planned to meet and take over the once torrential storm of General Cornwallis. This will calm the weather, as Cornwallis will most likely succumb to Washington's force.
Hi, didn't see you there. I'm Thomas Payne, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, Common Sense. In this 5-part persuasive essay, I talk about things that are against regular common sense. For example, a small island nation ruling an entire continent. Fat British people telling us hard-working citizens what to do. And taxes as collective punishment. If you buy my new book, Common Sense, for 17 easy payments of $38.38 or 17 of 38, you'll learn more things that are against common sense. Buy my book today.
Hi Kara, I am live here on this July 2nd, 1776 in Philadelphia. I have Richard Henry Lee here. What can you say about today, Mr. Lee?
So it took about a year for Congress to favor independence. On June 7th, I introduced a resolution declaring the colonies to be independent.
And if I'm correct, 5 delegates supported the resolution, and 1 being Thomas Jefferson?
Yes, that's accurate. Thomas Jefferson's support was key as they began to draft a resolution listing the grievances against the king and his government, and justifying the resolution by stating basic rights, which provided us with a, let's say, foundation for what we're signing today.
Okay. And Mr. Lee's proposal was accepted today. The declaration is currently being signed behind us.
Yeah, we hope to have it adopted in the next 2 days or so.
Okay, this is an extremely important day in America's history. All eyes are on this very room. Thank you. Back to you, Kara.
We may have won the war, but the battle is not over. Right now is the most important time in the history of our new nation. Right now is the time a once colonial society will transform into an independent country. And with independence comes the responsibility of forming our government and constitution. What this infant requires is a strong central government to maintain power and preserve the Union in order to protect freedoms as well as maintain order. We want a country with a backbone, not a country lacking spine. We've tried the Articles of Confederation, but they've proven to be juvenile compared to the Constitution we are currently drafting. Although anti-federalists may disagree with our policies, we have stronger leaders and bigger visions. Decide with us, the protectors of liberty, today. You can check out our policies and more by reading our paper written by our very own esteemed representatives, John Jay, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton.
We just won a major war, so why would we want to throw it all away? The whole point of a constitution is to maintain control over the people. It does not grant a citizen rights or freedoms. It just allows the government power over the people. Let's face it, America. We revolted against Britain because they were oppressive and controlling. Do you remember the Intolerable Acts? America's fought too hard to fall back in the cycle of controlling government. The new Constitution has more potential to control the colonies than Britain ever did. Sure, the Articles of the Confederation were not a huge success, but the fact that we can still sit here and debate what type of government America should have displays the freedoms these colonies have maintained, which has remained unaffected. We do not want to turn into Britain. We do not want to be controlled. We may not have a paper, but we do have a belief in freedom. Do you?
have to let the soldiers on your farms. You can stop a search, your trial's always fair. You'll have a lawyer, you don't have to swear. You can try for 20, you can stop the hate. Your rights are respected, your states are safe. You can be a master, just don't own slaves. Amendments for yourself to protect yourself, written in the Bill of Rights. And the world's gonna know our name, 'cause Britain don't have control, and all people will be equal, and you'll be protected with the Bill of Rights. Anti-feds do want it, federalists don't. You can show Great Britain who is who. You could be the hero, you could be well known. Signing it will strengthen states, making unity. Do it for the people, do it for your pride. How will we be free if we never even try? Do it for your country, do it for your name. 'Cause we're hoping for the day it's written in the Bill of Rights, and the world's gonna know our name, 'cause Britain don't have control, and the world's gonna know our name, and we'll be protected by the Bill of Rights.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
Hello, we are on the streets of Charleston today, speaking with those whose voices are not usually heard. There are many social changes occurring in today's society, and we are going to gather some opinions. Hello, sir.
Hi. I'm part of the Anglican Church, and I know I speak for my people when I say that we think the government's going downhill fast. We used to be funded. Our churches, they thrived off of the government funding, but now we don't have that anymore. I don't know what we're going to do.
Thank you, sir. So we heard his thoughts. May I ask what you have to say, ma'am?
Well, in my opinion, women are running this country. We run the farms, the businesses, the families, yet we're still treated as second-class citizens.
Here we have an enslaved man. However, he does not wish for his identity to be revealed for obvious reasons. What do you have to say about the recent social changes, sir?
Well, the Continental Congress has abolished the importation of new enslaved people. However, the majority of Southern farmers feel that the continuation of slavery is necessary for their economy.
May I ask your opinion on the latest social changes, sir?
Well, I really feel that our country's going downhill as a whole. For one, new changes in legislation have made it impossible to grant titles of nobility. And secondly, my son has been...
Hello, sir?
I need everybody to know, government has sent 15,000 federal troops to attack farmers like me. It's all because we just didn't want to pay a little extra for the whiskey. I don't understand.
As you were saying, sir.
Well, I was saying about my son, who is not allowed to take my estate any longer, and my friend, who's a loyalist, who's had his entire estate taken away as a whole. I really feel like our country's going downhill.
All right, thank you. And despite that brief interruption, I believe we have learned a lot here today.
So here's my plan. First, we're going to pay off national debts at face value and have the federal government assume war debts to states. We need to protect the young infant industries of the nation by imposing high tariffs on imported goods. Finally, I plan to establish a national bank for government funds and printing banknotes to stabilize the national currency. Boom.
Good morning, America, and welcome to 3.5 Minutes. Today, I will be sitting down with the patriarch of patriotism. He's a decorated wartime general and the first president of the United States. This interview is expected to be very revealing, as legend has told this man could never tell a lie. That's right, America. Today, I'm sitting down with George Washington. Good morning, George. And how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling lovely, thank you.
Glad to hear it. Now let's get right onto some questions. As we all know, you took office on April 30th, 1789, as the first president of this nation. How did you go about doing so?
Well, as you know, the Constitution divided the government into 3 branches. to create a system of checks and balances. You have your judicial, legislative, and executive branch, the one that I'm in charge of. I appointed Thomas Jefferson as my Secretary of State and Alexander Hamilton as my Secretary of Treasury.
Interesting. Now that we've discussed what's going on at home, let's talk about some of the issues we've had abroad.
Well, as you may have heard, there's a revolution occurring in France, which has put the U.S. in a bit of an uncomfortable position regarding the fact that France was a major ally during our own revolution, which helped us defeat Britain. However, one of the first executive choices that I made when I went to office was to opt out of entering into the war and helping France, much to the demise of my Secretary of State, Thomas Jefferson, in 1793.
So you proclaimed neutrality in 1793?
Indeed, I felt as though we were too young to engage in a European conflict. As I said before, this really angered Jefferson, and he actually resigned from my cabinet.
That was quite unfortunate. And can you tell me more about what occurred with Citizen Genet?
Ah, yes. This is a controversial topic. Citizen Edmond Genet was a French minister to the U.S. In this case, he appealed directly to the American people to discuss the matters of supporting the French cause. I was so appalled that I asked the French to get rid of the minister with the ridiculous notion that what he did was okay. Even Jefferson supported me in this.
It seems to me that you handled that situation in a very appropriate manner. I would just like to ask you about the two latest treaties that were enacted. Can you share with the viewers, to the best of your ability, more about the Jay Treaty?
Of course, in 1794, I sent Chief Justice John Jay to Great Britain to negotiate over the recent issues we had abroad involving our ships. It took him over a year, but he came back with Britain's promise to remove its forces from the western frontier. Yes, I know this did not solve the problem, but it was a giant step for us. Nonetheless, it upset some Americans as they supported the French. However, it helped us maintain neutrality, which was exactly what we needed to do.
Okay, and the Pinky Treaty of 1795?
Oh, this was very important. Our relations with Spain have improved immensely. Our minister to Spain, Thomas Pinckney, has negotiated a treaty that has opened the lower Mississippi to New Orleans to open trade and also move Florida's boundaries to the 31st parallel. This was a key treaty that had to do with foreign affairs.
I'm glad to hear it. You have helped us get to the place where we are today. We couldn't have done it without you. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the public?
Actually, yes. I have something I really need to say. Before I resign, in the conclusion of my second term, I need the country to listen closely to what I'm about to say. Promise me these few things. Do not get involved in European affairs. Do not make permanent alliances with foreign affairs. Do not form political parties, and do not fall into sectionalism. Please follow this advice and remember the future of our nation.
Well, thank you, Mr. Washington, and good night, America.
Next week, the controversial Alien and Sedition Acts. Should you have to wait 14 years to become a citizen under the Naturalization Acts? Is it morally acceptable for dangerous aliens to be deported, or for the U.S. to hold any captives during times of war? Does the new Sedition Act violate the First Amendment rights of newspaper editors? Should all states follow Kentucky and Virginia's lead as they declare states can nullify federal law? We will also go further into the still developing XYZ affair. What really happened overseas when we sent delegates to negotiate peacefully? Should Americans be vouching for war? We will look further into the infamous slogan, "Millions for war, but not 1 cent for tribute." Does President Adams have a right to prevent war because the nation is still too young? And finally, we'll look into the upcoming election. Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson appear close in the runnings. If they tie, who will be the House of Representatives choosing the next President of the United States?